Now, it's a good idea to have a general idea of the Upanishads. We all, many of you must have heard me before, but there are some who haven't. So the Upanishad is actually part of the Vedas. When we say the Vedas, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda and Atharvana Veda, we mean generally only the Samhita portions which are chanted and sung. But actually, when you say Veda, it means not only the Samhita, but also the Brahmanas, Aranyakas and the Upanishad. These four together is actually called Veda. Now, the first portion is called Samhita. So the Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, all the four have Samhitas, all the four have Brahmanas, and all the four have Aranyakas and also Upanishads. Now, distinguishing them, how do we distinguish them? The Rigveda is basically sung in hymns. It contains the essence of truth, which is why it is called the Shruti, that which is to be heard. Shruti. You also know that if you want to get proper Shruti, the strings have to be tuned properly. So Shruti means that which is heard, not that which is read and remembered and discussed. Then it is Smriti. Shruti. Now, the Veda, for instance, the Rigveda, let's say, although most of it is in praise of gods, Agni and so on, there are some portions where suddenly there is an indication of the inner essence which is to be elaborated upon either by the Aranyakas or by the Upanishads. For instance, Rigveda has the Gayatri Mantra. The Rishi of Gayatri Mantra is Vishwamitra, friend of the universe. Although for a long time it was kept away from the universe, but Vishwamitra. Now, in the same way, there is in the Rigveda the Purusha Sukta. Now, basically, Purusha Sukta is a description of the Supreme Purusha, the Supreme Being, and is described in the following words: Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha, Sahasrakshaha, Sahasrapad, Sabdhumim Vishvato Vritva, Atyatishthida Dashangulam. So, while the Purusha is described as Sahasra Shirsha Purusha, that Purusha or the Supreme Spirit who has 1,000 heads. Now, Sahasra in Sanskrit need not necessarily mean counting 1,000, it means numberless, any number of heads. Sahasrakshaha, it has 1,000 eyes. Sahasrapada, it has 1,000 legs, feet. Sabdhrumim Vishvato Vritva, it pervades this whole universe, and yet Atyatishthita Dashangulam, 10 fingers from the navel it resides. So while the first portion can be understood by reading the Samhita, the last portion, how does that infinite 1,000-headed Purusha reside 10 fingers from the navel in a human? That is where the Upanishad comes into the picture. Now, from the Samhita portion, there is the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas give out the ways and means to perform day-to-day activities for a person who is reading and understanding the Vedas. So all sacrifices, everything is included in the Brahmanas. Now, while the Brahmanas describe sacrifices, like The Ashwamedha, for instance. Ashwamedha. Ashwamedha is called the horse sacrifice. So there are two schools of thought. One is that the horse should be sacrificed. Now, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which is one of the most important, when we go into Upanishad, you will know it's one of the principal Upanishads, and it's the biggest of the Upanishads. It's called Brihad Aranyaka because it is like a big forest. So without a guide, if one goes in, you probably make round and round circles and not be able to come out. It's the biggest. Mostly the teachings are in the form of Yajnavalkya teaching his wife Maitri. Please remember, in those days women were given respect, not like Kali Yuga in the present. So, the Brihadaranyaka opens with an account of Ashwamedha, horse sacrifice. And it interprets it as a meditative act in which the individual offers up the whole universe in place of the horse, and by giving up the world attains spiritual freedom. So while the Brahmanas are basically supposed to be ceremonial, they also harp upon the deep meaning of what it indicates symbolically. Now, the Sankhyayana Brahmana of the Rigveda, which is a Brahmana by itself, part of the Rigveda, it itself says that the self is the sacrifice and the human soul is the sacrificer. You want the actual words? Purusho vai yajnaha, atma yajamanaha. So, why I am saying this is not for you to think that the Brahmanas are only ceremonial. While they are ceremonial, because most of us cannot directly go into the abstractness of inner inquiry, so it begins with a ceremony, but it describes what it indicates. Now, after the Brahmana comes the Aranyaka. Now, Aranyaka is that part of the Vedas, again Vedas, which were studied in the forests. Aranya is a forest, and Aranyaka is a study which was done in the forest when those who have finished their duties, or those brahmacharis who went to understand and study, went to the Rishi and learned from him sitting in the forest. I always, every time I come here, I say to the Kodavas that you are lucky that you are living in the forest all the time. You just have to turn your attention to the studies. Because a place with lot of trees and mountains and waterways is very conducive to the understanding of such subtle truths as the Upanishads proclaim. Beautiful environment is not meant only to imbibe somarasa, the original somarasa, which is the inner enjoyment that comes through the study. I am not objecting to anything, I am just saying. So, these part of the Vedas which were studied in the forests, in the Aranyakas, were called Aranyakas, in the Aranya. Now, what you will see if you study this is there is a gradual merging of the Samhita portions into Brahmanas and a merging of the Brahmana portions into Aranyakas, and slowly the Aranyaka merges into the Upanishad. Now the Upanishad directly deals with the sum and substance, the essence of what the Vedas have declared. For instance, the Veda says, Ekam sat Viprah Bahuda Vadanti. There is only one truth, but the wise, the Vipras, call it by many names. The Upanishad takes it up and studies it and shows how that one truth is connected to oneself. Because if there is one truth and it has nothing to do with me, it makes no sense to me. Why? It doesn't matter if it is one or many, who cares? But when it is connected to me, what is my connection with this? This is the study of the Upanishad. Now the word Upanishad comes from 3 syllables, Upa-ni and shad. Upa means close, C-L-O-S-E, not close, but close. Shad is to sit, and ni means down. That means this is the subject matter which was studied by the Rishis, disciples of the Rishis, sitting down close to each other, trying to understand. Now, close to each other need not mean physically close to each other. The Upanishad teaching is also called the Paramarahasya, the great secret. It was given only to those who were qualified to receive it. Because there is a danger that if you directly go and read the Upanishad without going through the rest, some of people might end up at atheists. Because the Upanishads are experts in denying. Adi Shankaracharya's method of study, which he called neti-neti, not this, not this, not this. Why? Because when the false is eliminated, then what remains which cannot be eliminated is the truth. This is the Upanishadic way of looking at things. So before that one has to prepare, and there are other ways of, which is why Samhithas, Brahmanas, Aranyakas, these are all important parts. While the Upanishad is the direct, crystal clear exposition of the gems which are in the Rigveda. In the Vedas. Now there are many Upanishads. Maybe if you count minor and major Upanishads, there may be over 100 Upanishads. But the principal Upanishads are 11 in number. Why principal? Because all the Acharyas, starting with Adi Shankara, Advaita, Vishishta Advaita of Ramanujacharya, complete Dvaita of Madhva, and in between Nimbarka, Vallabhacharya, all the Acharyas have commented on most of these Upanishads. So they are the principal Upanishads, and they are the oldest Upanishads. Now, among the principal Upanishads, which have been commented upon by all Acharyas, some are attached to certain Vedas. Every Upanishad is attached to a particular Veda. It comes at the end of the Vedas. Therefore, basically when you say Vedanta, it means the Upanishad. Veda, Anta, end of the Vedas. So that portion which comes at the end of the Vedas is called Vedanta. So that is actually the Upanishad. Later on, any teachings which are connected with what the Upanishads say was also called Vedanta. But this is how the name originated. Now Shankara says it also has another meaning. Adi Shankara, being a grammarian and a great connoisseur of Sanskrit, he gave interpretations which are normally not suddenly visible to us. For instance, Upanishad, shad means to sit, normally. He looked through the whole etymology of the word and said, shad also means to shake up, which means shake yourself up from the sleep of ignorance, or shake you out of the ordinary framework of thought in which we are trapped. Like, what is our understanding of rejoicing? When we say rejoice, we gather things. I will be happy if I have this, I have this. Now Upanishad shakes up the whole idea and goes upside down. Ishavasya Upanishad says, Tena tyag tena bhunjita, let go and rejoice. Normally we say catch hold and rejoice. I say let go and rejoice. So it's a shaking up of our complete mode of thinking. Now Shankara said Vedanta also does not necessarily mean that because the Upanishad is attached to the end, therefore it is Vedanta. Right. He also said Veda means learning. He said Upanishad is that which when understood, there is no need to learn anything else. End of all learning. That means the Paravidya, which takes care of one's search for the supreme truth, nothing less. So that is also another reason why it's called Vedanta. Please don't think that the Upanishad is a very difficult matter. It's not. It's Babaji, one of the things that my Guru Babaji said to me was, Upanishads are direct. Simplify it and talk. Don't make people run away when they hear Upanishad. Either they think this is for sannyasins, or they think that this is too complicated for us to understand. It is not.